Hi, everyone. It's Amanda Rieger Green. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to Soul Sessions. Today, I am picking up on where I left off from the episode about the dark night of the soul. It's an episode where I shared part of my personal journey and experience with the darkest night of my soul. And thank you for your feedback because I know for me, it was like a soul dump. I was at this point where I was like, I need to tell some of this story and I want to share it. And I'm pretty much an open book, but there are a lot of you that aren't familiar with my story and the depth of it and also the beauty that has come through so much pain. And I know so many of you can resonate wherever you are in your journey. And whether it is a dark night of the soul or it's a season that is just grueling and heavy. There's a lot of correlation there. Today, I'm going to talk about spiritual awakening. So it's kind of like a follow up and a follow through and a call and response to the dark night of the soul, because the beauty of any kind of period of darkness, whether it's just the seasons of the year and daylight savings time, or it is a season of life that you're moving through, or like know that you are in your hardest, most difficult time and you're striving to really open up and find that awakening and hope in your meaning and purpose. Wherever you are, the awakening that comes through the darkness is one of the greatest gifts I know. It's one of the things that has created a resolve and a resiliency in me. And if that language sounds familiar, I've used those words so many times in 2024 because it correlates with the numerology of the eight. We create resiliency and then it turns into resolve, which means what are you true to? Are you going to stick with this? Is it going to become ingrained in you in terms of your personal meaning and your story? For me, I shared with you about my struggle with alcoholism, addiction, suicide, and feeling lost personally in my romantic life, in my spiritual life, in my professional life, and all the hard knocks that came with that. And then the hard truth that needed to ask for help and I had to make a decision to change. And when I did that, there was this breaking open. And it was like time and space stood still, and God was always there. My guides were always there. My soul was always there. And my soul was waiting for me to respond, to heed the call. The first thing that I remember, apart from the things I've told you about how I had those insights, a couple of years before sitting on the couch, the Ian Van Zant deal, but I wasn't ready to respond. I was still stuck in my self will. And then that morning, I decided to go to treatment and I'm hanging on to the vanity. It was like something shot through me and I made a decision. I remember two distinct things when I was in treatment, and I went to a treatment facility in the hill country in Texas. I lived in Houston, Texas at the time, and I came to Wimberley, which is where I live now. It's where I got married. It's a magical place for me, and it's a vortex, actually. And I'll tell y'all about that sometime. But the ley lines of Wimberley are the same ley lines as Sedona. It's a pretty magical place. And I know for me, I have been supposed to be here because I've been here before and I have karma and healing here, and my mother died here. We moved here and my mom died here. So this place for me, it's not my forever place, but I am closing out some lineages of karma in this actual physical place, and it's been magical. So there's something to physical place and where your breakthrough is and spiritual awakening. So see if that resonates with you or you can correlate any dots. But I was in treatment here in Wimberley in a treatment facility, and I had probably been there about 3 weeks at the time. And I had made this friend, and she was like my partner in crime, my buddy, and I adored her. And it was not her first treatment rodeo. She was about 15 years older than me, but the two of us just jived. We were, like Mutt and Jeff. Like we hung out together, we did the things. We were each other's same kind of crazy, and we just related. But we were sitting on a porch one day in these rocking chairs, and she and I were talking about the journey of sobriety and spirit and God and the soul. And she started talking about Wayne Dyer, and I had no idea who Wayne Dyer was at the time. And she said, "You know what Wayne Dyer says, Amanda?" She says, "Wayne Dyer says, whatever you go to bed on at night, whatever your brain and your body and your experience is marinating in before you drift to sleep, that is the state of consciousness you are marinating in at night. And when she said that to me, I kept flashing back to years of passing out from too much alcohol, going to bed angry and furious, taking pills and not wanting to wake up. It like flashed in front of me. Oh my gosh, the quality of my dream life, my astral body, I have been going to bed and not using that. I've been poo-pooing it. I've literally been, you know whating on my dream life, my astral life. I pass out. I'm not intentional at all. And what she said his recommendation is when you go to bed at night, you get still, you get quiet, you find some meditative time, and then you start saying your I am statements. I am love. I am sobriety. I am whatever. And I remember after that conversation, time and space stood still. I heard her. It got my attention because my actions had been so contrasting up until then. And really, most of my life, I used to say my prayers. I would say prayers out of desperation when I was, in my dark night of the soul. But I remember that night, I got in my little twin bed in treatment, and I had a roommate next to me, and she was all kinds of crazy too. And I remember I was in bed and I was about to drift off, and I thought, well, I'm going to do what Wayne Dyer says, and I am going to meditate and I'm going to say my I am statements. And I was kind of being a little like cheeky about it, like, okay, we'll see what happens here. And I gently slipped into a state, like on accident, on purpose. The moment I articulated I am, and it was not audible out loud, it was in my mind's eye. Before I could even completely articulate I am, something incredible happened. Literally, I was flooded with, I am love, I am loving, I am kindness, I am worthy of love, I'm worthy of giving love, I am worthy of receiving love, I am worthy of kindness, I am worthy of joy, I am worthy of bliss, I am worthy of compassion. I mean, it was like a download of the most infinite, sweetest rhetoric. And what happened in that moment, because I felt it surge through my body, and I remember looking over to see if my roommate was aware that, like, my whole body was like, it was a burning bush moment. My whole body, I was, like, transcending. It was like I was rising up out of the bed, and all space and time and the cosmos and the quantum field broke free, like something was happening, and I was like, I'm not imagining it because I felt it in my body. But the moment I reached out to my higher self and said, I am, basically, like, who am I? My soul said, it was like my soul had been waiting for me to ask who I was. And my soul said, I am love. I am loving. I am worthy of love. And you want to hear something insane and amazing about that is my name is Amanda. And the name Amanda means of love, worthy of love. And another piece to that story, and here's where, I didn't put all these puzzle pieces together in that moment, in that little twin bed in treatment. But as all of this illumination is happening, I was forever changed after that moment. It was like, I'm here to live. I am loving. I'm worthy of love. I am understanding what it means to experience love in all its forms in this lifetime. And whatever that is the first big door that has opened that is showing me the way. And after that, it's like I haven't not been on the path. Capital T, capital P, the path. It's like once you break through and you heed the call, you may go through some dark nights and some messiness and hard times, but the hope, the clarity, the voice that is my higher self, that is connected to God, the divine, and the infinite, it's never gone away because I know. I know now who my soul is. And you can too. Wherever you are, just take the time to wholeheartedly ask. If you haven't had that divine insight, and it doesn't have to be this burning bush for everybody. Sometimes it's a slow burn. Everyone's experiences can be different, but once you know, you know. and you don't get off the path, or at least that's been my experience. I have had dark and dingy days or seasons, and it's been tough, but I know that I am here to love and learn to love and to share love and to emulate and express that frequency. And sometimes I do it and sometimes I royally screw it up. But here's the funny part. So when I was born, my mom was gonna name me Leslie. Leslie with a Z. Okay? Like, just can't even. I mean, like, Leslie, right? My name's Amanda. Leslie with a Z, and I mean, it's a sexy name, right? Like, I'd have had a whole other persona. But anyway, when they delivered me in the operating room, my dad was standing there, and he said, "Can we name her Amanda?" And my mom was like, I guess." He actually said, "Can we name her Mandy?" Because he loved the Barry Manilow song, Mandy. But my mom says to him, "Oh my gosh, like, did you have an old girlfriend named Mandy?" In the or not the operating room, like, whatever, in the hospital when I was born, whatever that room is called. But anyway, literally, she's like, "Okay, like, we can call her Mandy, but let's name her Amanda." And he said, "That's her name." And what's funny about that is I believe we name ourselves. And if you've listened to my numerology podcast about the vibration and frequency of our names, our birth name, when you do the formulary in your birth name and you get your soul urge number, your heart's desire number, our names have vibrations, frequencies, and meaning. Look up the meaning of your name. See what it means, see what its origin is, and see how that connects with you and your story. These are all breadcrumbs to follow because we are divinely orchestrating our lives with God and with the divine before we come in. And at some point, we wake up to who we are, and then the mystery begins, and then the journey begins. And that's where the spiritual awakening is. The spiritual awakening is just the beginning because it gets treacherous and hard and confusing and overwhelming. And after that wake up moment, something forever changed in me, and I was there to heal. And after I got back from treatment, I moved into a sober living. I had an ignition interlock in my car. I had all sorts of stipulations with work. I had a sponsor in my recovery program. The list went on, and it was the most beautiful and challenging year. But one thing I know about spiritual awakenings and that waking up of yourself to your highest, most infinite self is it's like once that fuses or converges, there is an activation that happens that is alchemical. It creates new opportunity. It creates an urge and a push in your soul to understand, to grow, to heal, to show up in different ways. So, wherever you are in your journey and the spiritual awakening, like I said, it's the beginning because once you decide or heed the call to be on the path, then life really starts to show up around you. And usually, after an awakening, things start to leave your life or be taken away from you that you thought worked or that you were familiar with. So, a lot of times, as we wake up or we go through intervals of awakening, because that's my experience, is it's like there was this big awakening and then it continues to be incremental. I'll have these dry desert moments or these plateau moments where it just feels like, okay, it's day in, day out. My hope is there. I trust, I know, but gosh, this is hard. I'm doing all the things and I'm not seeing the results. And then wham, out of nowhere, something propels me into a new frequency, a shift in vibration. So the opportunity is to keep moving, keep seeking, keep evolving yourself through expanding your consciousness and knowledge and really self discovery. Because the self discovery is the soul discovery and coming back into the consciousness that you were intended to radiate in this lifetime. And I believe we all have a unique note. I think back to my conversation with Stuart Pierce, who they call the master of voice. If you haven't listened to that podcast, gosh, the frequency of that conversation is otherworldly because he brings in a special note. He speaks from his true register. And I believe we all have a unique and true note. And once you find your note, you know how to attune to it and you know what it feels like when you're out of tune. And that has probably been the mainstay of living a spiritually awakened and dedicated life. I'm human, I'm messy, I mess up, but I always am striving to recalibrate back into my note when I get a little bit off key or, out of step, out of rhythm, out of tune. I know what that feels like today, and it doesn't feel good. The chaos, the conflict, the dysfunction, the toxicity, the misbehaving, the anger, the self-pity, any way emotionally, mentally or physically, the dis-ease or disorientation or out of whack, out of alignment energy shows up. I am not attuned to my true divine note, which is connected to the infinite, and I am playing small. So when I get out of tune, I am resiliently saying, okay, what do I need to do to reassess my side of the street? Do I need to ask someone for assistance or help? Do I need to sit and be still, get out in nature? Do I need to go exercise? Do I need to make an amends? What is it that will get me back into my note quicker, truer, and clearer so I can be a divine channel? Because we're all divine channels. We all have intuitive, innate, psychic abilities, and we are all here for unique purposes. And one thing I want to say about that, because it came up in my journaling this morning, is that saying, everybody else is taken, so just be yourself? I am like a tried and true in that. There's enough to go around. We all have incredibly unique talents, and when we are true to ourselves and not competing with other people or wanting to be somebody else or wanting somebody's talents to be our talents, when we just follow our note, our true divine infinite note, we become synergistic. There is enough to go around. Solution happens, revolution happens, humanity awakens. And if I sound super Pollyanna right now about this, it's because I believe in the divine and finding our true note. And it's what I love about all of the people I have been fortunate enough to connect with in this journey, because I do what I do today because of the darkness of my life and the awakening that I had. I went back into healthcare because I had a great job. I had a living amends to make there and to come back and really take action. But I did, and I got back into healthcare and I continued to succeed. I met my person and I wasn't looking for my person, but I met Dennis on this journey after awakening because my vibration shifted. So all of a sudden, when we shift in frequency, and mine was a pretty big leap because it was pretty low before. If you listen to The Dark Knight, it was a low, low, low frequency. So I had like a quantum leap. But once I was there, I was like, I'm here. Like, I'm not going back. I'm going to keep healing. So this quantum leap, I at least maintain at this frequency or continue to go higher. So I started attracting new people, places, things, and experiences into my life. And my psychic gifts started coming through at kind of an alarming, overwhelming rate. They had already been there, but I mean, dead people were showing up. I lived in the sober house, and like there was a dead woman in the sober house who had died an alcoholic death, and she showed up to me. And then the girls in the sober house talked about it. And then the neighbor, basically, I told him the woman that I was seeing, and he said, "Oh, yes, that's so and so. She died in the house and she was an alcoholic." And he confirmed it. And I mean, I can tell you 500 stories like that, from being on an airplane to in the grocery store and dead people showing up. And I was in healthcare and in hospice. So I was in hospitals with dying people all the time, and loved ones would show up. And there were these miraculous times where it was so confusing for me professionally and ethically, like personally in my role in healthcare, and then dead people showing up, helping other people cross over. And how do I wear both of these hats? That's where the crossroads came for me. It was like I'm showing up. I know how to do my professional job and I'm good at it, but I've got dead people showing up everywhere, and my psychic gifts are exploding, and the synchronicities are just piling up, and they piled up so high that they basically said, "Are you going to heed this call and make this giant shift in what you do professionally because it aligns with the call of your soul, your true note? Or are you going to stay here doing what you're doing? Because you're doing well at it. You know how to do it, but it just falls flat. You are destined to be able to utilize your gift and help activate that gift in other people. And all I am is a facilitator and a vessel. I just have this gift of reflecting back somebody's truest, highest self and showing them the clearest, highest path forward. And whether they take the insights and tools and utilize and implement them or not, that is not my job. I just show up and I move out of the way and my higher self rolls through to connect with someone else's higher self. And I tell you what, I have days where I'm like, this is so hard because people right now, my clients right now, I've been doing this since 2015. And I looked back at my client base. I have something like 5,000 clients, something insane. I have done thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of readings. And it blows my mind because I'm like, gosh, that's a lot of energy. Gosh, that's a lot. And it has been a lot. And there are times that it's a lot, but I'm also really invigorated by it. But I tell you what, when I get to connect with people and they're ready to heal and hear and know and grow, and they respond and they start putting things into play and they get out of their own way, and I see the light turning on, I'm like, dang, there's another one. Like, we're here, we're all here. And we get to know each other. We get to see each other grow. And through the mess and the destruction and the chaos, we are here to bring in higher frequency. All of you out there are here with a true note and a higher frequency, and we need it right now. We are entering the most insanely awakening and terrifying times on our planet. And we signed up for this. We signed up to raise the frequency of humanity, to turn on our inner technology that has been dormant, DNA, to heal old karma in our ancestry, our lineage, in the lineage of humanity. All of this stuff is happening now. And I can feel it and see it in people today, whether it's my friendships, clients, family. Everybody is dealing with immensity, but the people who are showing up to alchemize it and heal it and figure out new ways of doing it and in community. That's what I know about spiritual awakening for me, is that it didn't happen by myself. It happened through a multitude of divinely orchestrated people that I let into my life to start supporting me, guiding me, helping me, opening doors. And I started recognizing my life when I think I am living it by myself and in my self will is the smallest life I can have. I open up the channel to the divine and I connect with other people, one person at a time, and we wake up. We collaborate. We learn from each other. We teach each other. We share. We lift up and we hold space for everyone to evolve. We're in the most incredible time in humanity. The futurists say it. The futurists that work for the government say it. We are in the unprecedented times on planet Earth. The biologists say it. The physiologists and physicists and astrophysicists say it. All the spiritual teachers say it. Everybody is saying the same thing. We are in these remarkable times. So guess what it calls for? The remarkableness within us, the true note within us. I encourage you to listen to the podcast or re-listen to the podcast with Stuart Pierce. And the reason for that is he shares some wonderful parts of his story and his own journey and working with the angels of Atlantis. He has a fabulous oracle deck, the angels of Atlantis. I actually have it sitting right here on my desk because I love it so much. But this is a really good time to work with your angels and guides, because if you don't feel like you're connected to your soul, your higher self, God, the divine, connect with the angels, connect with your guides. Listen to that podcast because The frequency of that podcast, and I've re-listened to it. I've listened to it while I was walking or out on a hike because it puts me into an altered state of consciousness because his frequency is so high. He speaks from his true note. For some reason, that's coming through. Go back and listen to that right now. I feel like we need it, a jolt of a higher frequency. Or if you have other people that you listen to on podcast where you're learning and growing and seeking, anybody that as you're listening, you feel those moments of awakening, divinity, epiphany, expansiveness, limitless, where you just feel so in sync with whatever you are reading or listening to, do it again and again to keep your frequency up higher because it's getting harder and harder in a way to really maintain a higher vibrational state. So it does take some effort and some conscientiousness around when you sink down because it's easy to, let's just say, drop back into 3D in the sense that you get frustrated and aggravated and annoyed. It is imperative to be able to resiliently hop back up into a higher frequency. So those are just some things on and my reflections around spiritual awakening. And it's definitely in a nutshell. It's not my full story of that journey, but it is the energy of what happened, and I wasn't looking for it. It had been looking for me all along. We wake up when it's time to wake up, but once we're awake, we might kind of doze off a little bit or get tired of the path, but the path is still there for us to hop back on. So staying in your path and knowing that you are divinely directed, you are here for a unique purpose that is imperative to the evolution and the raising in frequency and ascension of humanity. I believe that about all of us. And I believe each of you has a unique note that when we all sing in harmony, it's the most beautiful music we'll ever hear. And that's what this life is about. It's about bliss and ecstasy and love and getting to do it through this human genome that is shut down and wonky and messy. But we're here to transform our biology and not just our biology of our body, the biology, as Bruce Lipton says, of belief. He wrote a book called The Biology of Belief. If you don't know who Bruce Lipton is, Dr. Bruce Lipton, he is an epigeneticist and he's a physician and he's all into consciousness and spirituality. And I love Bruce Lipton. He's one of those early guides for me that about 12 years ago, I found Bruce Lipton and I resonated with him because he was talking about the consciousness above a gene, which is what he started studying and really seeing how miraculous our bodies and biology are and how divine they are, and that we have these divine codes that are being activated and awakened. So, whatever you're walking through right now, if you can get on board with the fact that you are here as this magical, miraculous piece of the divine, and you can decide to follow the path in whatever way looks healthy or is healthy for you that lights your soul on fire, this is the time to make that decision or recommit to flexing your spiritual muscles because consciousness is evolving so rapidly. And it's funny, I'll close in saying this. So many things and practices that I have done for years, whether it's around new moons, full moons, my intuition, my emotional intelligence, my neural patterning, my meditation practices, any of those personal and spiritual developmental practices that I have put into play and have really accelerated and fulfilled my spiritual life and my growth and evolution, they're changing. They are changing. So, as far as developing our intuition, utilizing it, I feel like we are advancing at a rapid rate. And the nature of, let's call it the matrix or the game, is changing. So finding your purpose and your meaning right now, like what you're here for, what you believe in, and really recognizing your worth and your value, that's the place to start because there are beautiful opportunities coming for each one of us to really accelerate and expand. And I think the future is wide open, which can be terrifying and wickedly brilliant. But we don't have to do it alone. We get to do it together. And that's why I encourage friendship, authentic, true friendship, and community. Finding your tribe, finding your people, finding your community. I've harped on this for really the past couple of years about finding your people, finding community, connecting with that community, getting out of yourself, sharing with people. And it's funny how many people really don't do that, but everybody's thirsty for it, or a lot of people are thirsty for it. But the people who do, and they commit and they find their community, are growing and accelerating and feeling safer, feeling a solidarity and recognizing their sovereignty and their collective sovereignty, which is mind blowing. And it's really imperative. One of my listeners and a client of mine reached out, and I'm smiling about this and I'm laughing because it's pretty brilliant and it's never anything I would have come up with on my own or thought to even share. She said, "Hey Amanda, would you do a podcast where you do Q&A around people asking questions about your journey, about your gifts and your experience and your journey. So people asking questions around my gifts and my talents and my journey and whatever interests you that you want to know about me or my story." And I'm laughing because I'm like, who, what? People really want to know that. But I get asked questions all the time by clients. Well, how did this happen? Or what did this do? Or how did you develop XYZ? Or can you do this? Or have you ever had this happen in a reading? So, no holds bar. If you have any questions or anything you want to know about me and you think it would be helpful to learn, or you're just curious about because you're curious, I am an open book. Send me your questions. And once we get a handful of really good questions, I will do an episode and answer questions. And if it's really far outside the box, go ahead and ask it because you know I love that stuff. And I probably have some sort of response or experience with it. Also, like with aliens and UFOs, I have a multitude of experiences in that department. But if it's about mediumship or it's about past lives or numerology or how I was able to really learn to not regret the past and heal and addiction and recovery. Like I am an open book. And if I can share my story or add some experience and that is helpful for you, or if it would just be fun for you to know, I'm game. I'm totally game. I hope everybody is doing well. And if you have any questions or you have any insights or anything you want to share, please don't hesitate to reach out. Podcast at soulsessions.me. That's where you can email us. I hope you all have an incredible holiday season, Thanksgiving in the United States, and find a little space to recognize how valuable and worthy you are and that you are appreciated. Like, you are appreciated not just from some of the people you love or your coworkers, but but from your guides, from your soul, and heeding the call, wanting to grow, heal, and illuminate this incredible world that we live in. Be well, everyone.